Hey, it's me, Gene Farrell from 3D Skill, back with another update for the DM-Measure plugin. So the DM-Measure plugin is basically a suite which consists of 3 plugins. The DM-Measure tool, with which you can create measurements in 3D and visualize them and render them. The DM Surface Calculator, with which you can calculate surface areas from polygon objects or polygon selections, and last but not least, the DM Photo Measure tool. This update only applies to the DM Photo Measure tool. The DM Photo Measure tool, I will refer to it in the next few minutes as PM, has received a lot of new features. So let's head over to this figure here. Here we can see all the new functionalities, okay? So this video also is the video manual for the complete video manual for a DM Photo Measure, PM. So this is also a tutorial because it has received so much new things, so that I found that it would be a good idea to make here a complete tutorial. So I tried to keep it short. And yeah, so let's talk about the first thing. It was the Parallax Correction with a new command secondary scale. So now you're able to measure also in different depth layers. The next thing was the get and reset scale factor. It is corresponding to this secondary scale thing. Then the next was a create custom measure. You are also now able to create custom measures. Then there is a set reference measure button command, then set picture command, with which you can, when you load a scene which was created with a measure tool, so it loses the reference to the picture. So you simply select the picture, call the tool, and say set picture command. So you will connect it back to the to this picture. Then the PM has also now smarter naming. So for quick identification, I will show this in a minute, and also a direct link to the manual, to the online manual. Then there is also some visual updates here. So it has now a better readability. So the font has a little bit space of the line now. And also in previous versions, the font was exactly on the same place as the plane on the Z-axis when you are in a picture mode. So it was hard to read here. So this was also improved. And PM has also received now a new dynamic thickness parameter. So the thickness parameter also determines the size of the font. The larger the thickness, the bigger the font, larger the font. Yes. So let's head over to Cinema 4D. First of all, I also have to say that this will be this is the final update which supports versions Cinema 4D versions R19 and R20. I will no longer support those versions. And yeah, this is end of life. But DM Photo Measure 2026 is the last update which supports these versions. And yeah, you can still purchase it if you want. Okay, let's head over to Cinema 4D now, and starting with this tool. As you can see, I have fixed it here to my layout. The DM Measure tool, you can find it in an extension when you install it. And it's appearing here in the extension menu here, Photo Measure. First of all, how to install a plugin. It's pretty easy. You open the preferences and navigate to the preference folder. And here you simply install it into the plugins folder. Copy the folder. When you unzip the package, then you will end up with 3 folders. Copy the folder which corresponds to your Cinema 4D version and paste it into the plugins folder in the preferences. And yeah, do not install it into program files because there you don't have any writing permissions. And the DM Measure plugin uses presets And yes, and then it would be not able for the plugin to write presets. So use this preference folder or your custom plugin folder. I have here custom plugin folder because I'm the developer, and so I need here a custom folder. Okay, so let's start here. So I click here on the DMeasure photo measure tool. Instantly it switches to the front view, so it's working now in the front view. This is the default setting here, so we are in the picture mode now. The picture mode is if you maybe want to measure picture from you've taken from a building or something, then you can are in the picture mode. If you want to measure or fit floor plans to scale, then you're working in the floor plan mode, so you can toggle it here with the toggle mode. No, it doesn't work at the moment because there is no picture loaded, so you need a picture first. Okay, the first thing we want is to load an image, because we want to measure an image. Simply press load image, and as you can see, I simply take this picture, start a tool for the first time. It also creates here a new render setting, the DM photo measure render setting, and switches to the standard render because it's not necessary to use here complicated Redshift node setups to measure pictures. So it uses its own render setting here. You can see standard render, but if the tool does that, so the picture looks a little bit strange here because it doesn't respect here the color management. So we have to do this manually. Go to color management scene and color change color space, legacy build. And you can see here we are in the picture mode, and if you're working with a floor plan, you can simply also use here the toggle mode. So now you are in the front view, you are in the floor plan mode. And yeah, you're working here, you can see from the top, not longer from the front view, but since it is a building, I work here in the picture mode. The next thing is we have to fit this image to scale. Okay, the plane which is loaded now with the picture is taking the resolution of the picture and resizing itself. You can see it has the right resolution here. But when you now want to measure here something, left mouse button is the first point and shift left mouse button is the second point. You can see it's just 81 centimeters. DMeasure works in centimeters in the metric system, and it's 81 centimeters. Yeah, so I know the door is 2.5 meters. You need a reference distance here. I know the door is 2.5 meters. So the first thing is we have to fit this this picture to scale. So therefore, I need the fit to scale command here. You also can use it Control and right mouse button. Then I input opens and I simply type in 205. You can type in integers and decimal numbers with comma or with point. Both works. 205, so the image is rescaling now. As you can see, it's now 205. And since this is my reference distance I measured, I simply say here set reference. So it creates a specific measurement with a striking green color here, and so that you can simply make it out as the reference measurement. So as you can see, the door is sunken into the wall, and you are now able to measure on this layer here, on this depth layer, because this is the reference. You can also see in which layer you are measuring by this depth scale factor here. We come to that in a minute. So 1 means you are in the depth scale factor 1, you are in the reference there's no recalculations or something. So also you can see the windows here are also in the depth. So you can now measure maybe here the width of this window. So it's 98. You click right mouse button or you click here create measurement. So sorry, right mouse button. And if there is no measurement in the scene, you will ask to choose a color here. I'm happy here with black. So and also can measure here now the width of that window, for instance. So rough estimation 60 or something. And I also want to measure here the height, maybe of this part here. So yes, so in previous version of the measure tool, if you want to measure here, you say here, okay, I fit to scale 30. So he rescaled the picture again. You can measure here, but now you can see this distance is no longer fitting here to the where we have positioned it. So this doesn't work. So we have to simply say here, this is 205. You say fit to scale 205, and now the measurements is back in the position here. But I want to make it a little bit more precise here. Let's delete this stuff here for a moment. I say here, this is exactly 2.5 meters. Yeah, I say fit to scale. And let's say we don't know this distance here. So you can see now this is 2.5 meters. And I set here my reference. And now I also know that this is also 2.5 meters, yeah? So I want to measure here more, want to measure this wall, which is further closer to the camera. So I know this distance is also 2.5 meters, but since it is further to the camera, the distance is also larger. So, but this doesn't work here. So we need to fit to scale the picture again, but as you saw, it will totally destroy here the measurements. So I need to take here the secondary scale. So secondary scale, type in 205, and now this is 205, and it puts the scale factor here into this scaling parameter, and yeah, shows you now the right measurements here. So this is also now 30 centimeters. So now I can measure here on this layer here, and I create a measurement. I reduce a little bit the thickness. So the thickness is working dynamically. So you can see the line is getting thinner, and also the font is getting smaller. Sometimes, yeah, I want that feature. And as you can see, I have now secondary scaled it. I'm on a depth layer. You can see it, while this value is not anymore 1. And as I created a measurement, you can see also the measurement and the scaling factor here in the name. So if this scaling factor is not 1, you know exactly, oh, I measured, I'm not in the reference layer, a depth layer, I'm in a different depth layer. So now I can also measure now this one here. So and maybe this one. So it's a little bit hard to see here. Let's switch here maybe the color to a bluish color, maybe like this. And I also can now measure this quickly. This is a little bit, yeah, this is just, and I also want to measure here the window. For instance, it's not perfectly 100% accurate because it's a little bit side shifted here, but it works. 217, this window is 246 or something. And then later, if you want to remodel it, you simply say, okay, this is 245 or this is 220 or something. So now I want to measure here. I also have to say that the measure tool is working only in the points mode, edit mode. No object has to be selected. And when it's in the points mode, then only the shortcuts work. Yeah. Okay, and now I want to measure here on this wall. You can see it's much further away from the camera. So I know this distance is 30 centimeters. And here you can see it's much less than 30. So it's 25. So I simply type in now another secondary scale, Control Shift right mouse button. I type in 30. And now I can directly measure on this wall here. So maybe this is 113. So, but since I like to work here with even numbers for modeling, it's much easier for me for simplicity. I simply create now a custom measure. So I simply press here custom measure or shift and right mouse button and type in 115. As you can see instantly, he creates here 115. And also here the naming is much smarter, 115. And this upper C stands for custom measurement. So you see instantly that it is a custom measure. And here you can see the original measured length is 113.99. And here the scaling factor. So you see it's in a depth layer. So this 113 is also not the original measured thing. It's recalculated by the scaling factor here. And now I can also measure here the window height. So let's say this is 205. I directly type it in, so you can directly determine the measurements. So I also want to think here, maybe this is maybe 95 or this is 90. Let's say this is 90. And the distance from here to this thing maybe is 40. And the distance from this one to this one is 75. And the distance to this is maybe 140 or something. So now you can calculate the complete length here. So together this would be about 435 centimeters. So I measured here 442. Yeah, this is due to this converging lines and so forth. So it's about 400. I type in here now 435 so that I quickly 35. Well, it's a little bit like that. So here I type here 435 and I say here house width here maybe. So I can also type in here things so I can quickly see house width 435 or something. Yes, this was basically everything now. So you can see here the new thickness parameter. You can instantly, or if I redo this, yeah, as you can see, I can increase here maybe a thicker size here and make it a little bit bigger here. If you render it, you can see much better. And let's talk about the set reference here. The set reference is, let's save this project here on the desktop as measure and close it. And let's reload it here, load this thing again. So you can see when I now switch to the tool and want to fit to scale, it doesn't work, yeah, because it lost the reference to the image here. So I simply select the image, call my tool and say here, set picture. So now I'm able to measure and now also would be able to fit to scale here something, yeah. This is very important. So now I also want to say something. So you can see this naming is also very important for this get scale command. So let's say I'm here at the moment. I'm in this thing here, in this layer. And I want to measure here on this layer again. So I simply select here my 31 thing here with this factor, call my tool and say get scale. And instantly he switches to this scaling here, and I'm able to measure here on this layer again. Yeah, this is also important. And if you want to measure here on your reference layer, depth layer level or something, then you simply have to say reset, and it resets it to 1. And that's everything. If you're finished and you rendered out the picture, for instance, you can see I say here test, and you simply start rendering it. So if this background is a little bit too dark for you, you can also create here a background object, maybe give it a custom color a little bit darker, for instance, and render it out. And that's it. And we have it here on the desktop here. Yeah. So, and now if you want to begin with another scene, with a new picture, you don't have to create a new scene and so forth. You simply say flush scene and instantly load a new picture, maybe the floor plan. As you can see, we are still in the picture mode here. And since it is a floor plan, we switch here with a toggle mode to the floor plan mode so that we are working from the top. And first of all, I need to fit the floor plan to scale. So this tool is also cool for floor plan fitting here, as rescaling it. Simply I choose this thing here and know this is 12 meters and 20. I type here fit to scale. I know it is 1,220 centimeters. And instantly fit it to scale. As I choose this, you can see it's approximately 1220. And so I can quickly also measure this. You can see this is 30 centimeters. This distance here, you can see it works. It's 30 centimeters and so forth. So it's very cool also for floor plans, measuring and so forth. Okay, I think this should be everything to explain here. Yeah, also here, the direct link to the manual. You can see you're here with the photo measure tool. You can see in a short explanation of all parameters for what they are and so forth. Yeah. Okay, this was everything for the DiaMeasure update, and I hope you had fun, and I wish you a nice day, and yeah, see us later.